So, the spoilers are out for My Hero Academia Manga Chapter 407, and let's just say that this chapter has a unexpected turn for possibly the better with a flashback, and you'll never guess who the flashback is about. Well, you won't have to guess long because we're going to be diving right into the spoilers, but first, right after this. Hey guys, how's it going? It is your boy, Manga Andrew, and I'm here to cover the spoilers for My Hero Academia Manga Chapter 407. And let's just say, to start off, from what we're getting with the spoilers so far, this is going to be a heavy focus chapter, weirdly enough, on All For One himself, and how this may most likely be a continuation from what we saw at the end of last chapter, as we're actually going to be diving into the origins of All For One himself, as well as a little bit more about the origins of quirks. So this is going to be a very fascinating chapter. So let's just dive right into the spoilers and talk about what's going to be in this chapter. And to start off, the title of the chapter is Chapter 407, Paranormal Orphan, and the chapter begins with a prostitute who contracted a, quote, disease a year ago, causing a small spike-shaped tumor to grow on her left arm. But she didn't notice it for 8 months because of the 2 babies growing inside of her were draining all her strength. She gave birth to the twins at a riverside and died soon after, but the, quote, tumor on her arm mysteriously disappeared. This panel focuses on the hole in baby All For One's hand when rats come to eat the corpse and the babies. The river's current carried the 2 of them away. 1 year later, the glowing baby was born in China, but these new powers were not only given to newborn babies, they also appeared in people who hadn't reached puberty yet. Studies showed that this phenomenon consisted of a new addition to the human genetic factor. All For One was born before the glowing baby. And with this just initial part of the text spoilers, you get a real understanding of what the rest of this chapter is going to be. A focus on All For One, his birth, all the way up most likely to what we've seen within the, as this moment, latest part of his life, being one of the more current parts of his life that we know. Basically, what I'm saying is that we're going to get the entire spectrum, more or less, of All For One's backstory, as well as with, most likely, as addition to Yoichi's backstory, since we get revealed at this moment that they are actually twins. And I would like to say more about it, but I think it would be best to start reading more of the text spoilers to get a better understanding of what type of backstory is going to be in this chapter pertaining to All For One. And continuing on with the next part of the text spoilers, we get a little bit more information about however making this information public was a bad idea. It's creating the idea that those with powers were not human beings, leading to a widespread chaos. A few years later, we see an extremist anti-meta abilities group walking at night and finding small All For One. They believe he's an, quote, orphan of the paranormal, and even if they feel bad for him, it's better to not go near him because he probably is infected. All For One then looks at them in a frightening way and kills all of them with the spikes quirk, shredding their bodies. That's the quirk he stole from his mom. From the moment he was born, he already thought the entire world belonged to him. If you didn't give him anything, you're a nuisance. We then see a panel of newborn All For One biting his dead mother's breast with a ferocious expression. We see small All For One attacking some more people, but Yoichi throws a can at him. Stop! That ouchie! The narration explains that All For One stole all his mother's nutrients, resulting in his brother being small and weak. All For One kicks Yoichi and keeps walking. The narration explains that although Yoichi couldn't give him anything, he was one of All For One's, quote, things, so he kept him. A few years later, the radio announces that the glowing baby, quote unquote, is now fighting on the front line, defending peace. Meanwhile, Yoichi is reading comics. All For One asks what he's reading, and Yoichi says that he can't read complicated books yet, so he's studying with comics. He thinks it's amazing how the author manages to convey a message just through the drawings, and that one day he wants to be like Captain Hero. And from here, this is where we're getting a lot more understanding of what All For One is like and how he pretty much came to be, which is that this is just who he is. And we get to see just how cruel and ruthless he can be even at this younger state, which really puts into context who All For One is in the current time and day, and why he's acting a little bit differently when he's younger than he has been acting when he's older. And we're going to even see a little bit more of Yoichi in this chapter, but we also get to see how they are at a crossroads where they're becoming two separate people, where Yoichi is being a little bit more caring and a little bit more like empathetic, while All For One is just being a little bit more ruthless as well as narcissistic. And as we're getting more into the next and most likely the final part of the text spoilers, the narration says that Yoichi still believed in his brother's goodness because deep down he remembers that All For One held his hand when they were babies. 3 years later, All For One says that the glowing baby has gathered more than 1 million supporters, but that doesn't make sense. 50 people with quirks were born in India before the glowing baby. He has no right to command so many people if he wasn't really the first one, which is why All For One killed him and stole his power. Yoichi asks why he did that, and All For One replies that he's doing it like the comics. In the comics, they said one for all and all for one, and he loved it. While the hero fights alone with a secret identity, the villain reigns through fear. Just as Yoichi dreams of being a hero, he now has a dream of creating a world where everything exists for his sake. Wait, why are you running? I just gave you power. The next panel shows Kudo pulling him by the hand. Who are you? Get away from him. He's mine. If you're not mine, then you don't. The last panel shows Yoichi's hand cut off and surrounded by blood. End of chapter. And for what we're getting with the last part of this text spoilers, we've pretty much caught up to current day within the most recent information that we knew about All For One and his backstory and his connection with the second user as well as his younger brother. And this pretty much shows just how All For One viewed his younger brother, and this may be the implication and the explanation for why All For One is doing everything that he has been doing up until now, which may be directly tied to his actions taken against his younger brother. But from what we're getting with the spoilers so far, this is going to be a very interesting chapter when it came to the characterization of All For One, and how for the most part he is potentially a deeper character than any of us actually gave credit to him for. Well, not me specifically, but maybe other people. And I would like to talk about this a little bit more, but I think that this is where I'm going to be ending the spoilers for right now. And let me ask you this, what did you think of the chapter? Did you like it? Did you dislike it? And are you okay with the fact that we are getting a All For One focused backstory chapter and potentially going into the next chapter? Leave your thoughts down below, and don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel for my next video. Also, we are going to be on a 2-week break, so hopefully I'll be able to catch you when I post next. Do all that cool jazz, and hopefully I'll be able to catch you in my next video. Goodbye!